Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. Work programs are underway in Finland and planned for Canada this summer. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol ADD, on Frankfurt symbol 82A1, and the OTCQB symbol ASDZF. Please visit our website arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is award-winning investigative reporter Bob Mackin, the publisher of TheBreaker.news, his website, TheBreaker.ca. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Thank you.
The race for Vancouver mayor, interesting because someone has dropped out who was actually doing pretty well in the polls.
Indeed, Ian Campbell, who was Vision Vancouver's choice after so many people didn't want to run for Vision Vancouver, dropped out mysteriously late Monday afternoon. This happened just a couple of days after receiving an all-important endorsement from David Suzuki. Very strange that something happened over the weekend in the world of Ian Campbell that we haven't yet had explained, because Vision Vancouver, of course, is at great weakness after the public essentially turning on them. Some of their members have turned on them as well because they are being blamed for the housing crisis. Mayor Greg Robertson never fulfilled his promise to end street homelessness. In fact, something else happened. Homelessness increased, and housing prices went way off the charts. This is for a party that promised much better back in 2008 when it came to power. They couldn't find anyone to run, and they were almost to the point of waving the white flag and saying, we'll just try to run a slate of council candidates and parks and school candidates too, when in the spring, Ian Campbell came in out of nowhere. He was backed by Mike McGee, Greg Robertson's former chief of staff, as well as Andrea Reimer, a counselor, and several other people. And right from the start, there were whispers of conflict of interest. Some of them not so much whispers. Some of them were very loud, because Ian Campbell, with the Squamish Nation, where he's a hereditary chief, a member of the Chiefs and Council, is someone who is a development deal maker with the Squamish Nation. He helped make deals with the Aquilinis, very powerful developers in Vancouver, to go in partnership with several First Nations and buy land from the provincial government and from the federal government that is up for redevelopment. So the question was, how could Vision Vancouver put someone up for a mayor who could possibly become mayor and would then be the leader of the council, who would be in conflict of interest for some of the biggest land developments to come down the pike in Vancouver in years to come.
So obviously, Bob, being an investigative reporter, you're going to try to find out why Mr. Campbell dropped out.
I definitely am. I know that he did have citations in the court registries from back in 2008 for a drinking driving charge, which was not proven, but there was a plea bargain, and he did plead guilty to a lesser charge of driving without due care and attention. So there is that in his past. I don't know what else there is in his past. This was the week, upcoming Friday, the deadline for people to file their candidature papers. So he had not filed his papers yet. And the choice of words in his statement about a complicated personal journey suggests that his life wasn't so simple. So was this a civil matter, a criminal matter? He really should clear the air, because he still is a politician within the Squamish Nation. He was elected to Chiefs and Council last year. I checked yesterday. He had not reassumed his seat on Chiefs and Council. He had taken time away, a leave away from Chiefs and Council in order to make this run for Vancouver civic politics. He also pulled the plug on his Twitter account. For the sake of Vision Vancouver, for the sake of the Squamish Nation, I think he does owe an explanation. This does leave a cloud over Vision Vancouver and the whole process that he used in order to anoint him as the mayoral candidate. There was supposed to have been a race. The other serious challenger, Talib Nur Mohammed, had to pull out for health reasons. So that's why Ian Campbell was given the leadership by acclamation.
Now, there is no shortage of people who want to be mayor of Vancouver. Can you maybe give us a bit of a rundown there?
Well, on the left side of things, there still is Shauna Sylvester, who herself is a longtime Vision Vancouver person. She used to be on the board of Vision Vancouver. She was very much a supporter and friend of Gregor Robertson and various people on City Council. She is running officially as an independent. She was really the first to jump in the pool earlier this year to set off a whole bunch of announcements from a whole bunch of parties. But she doesn't have the all-important endorsement from Big Labour, the Vancouver District Labour Council. That went to Kennedy Stewart, the NDP MP, who has officially resigned this week to take up the candidacy for mayor. He is in the Research Co. Opinion poll and other opinion polls, which are of varying degrees of accuracy, seen as the front runner. And a lot of the others are seeing him as the front runner, but then again, he does come from the NDP side of the spectrum, even though he's running as an independent. And the NDP has a great reputation of snatching defeats in the jaws of victory. We saw what happened in 2013 with Adrian Dix running the BC NDP, touted before that campaign as the next premier of BC. And of course, in 2015, Tom Mulcair, who was touted by many as the next Prime Minister of Canada. There were various opinion polls where he was leading before the campaign really got interested. And so we don't have a Premier Dix. We don't have a Prime Minister Mulcair. And we'll find out October 20th if we have a Mayor Kennedy Stewart. But there's a lot to happen between now and then. And just because he's leading now doesn't mean anything come October 20th.
Who do you think is going to be his stiffest opposition?
Well, see, that's the interesting part. There's not as much splitting now on the left as there was, last week. There's more splitting on the right, and on the right you've got Ken Sim of the NPA. And the NPA really should have a better chance at getting back into power. It hasn't had any power since 2008 when it lost the Division of Vancouver. But for the splitting there, where you've got several parties who I'm trying to figure out if they're running to beat the NPA or if they're running to take power. Because in their messaging, they're very, very much attacking the NPA, even though the NPA hasn't had power since 2008. The NPA, however, has lost elections since 2008, and it has not had an open process to pick candidates. It's really seen as a party that is controlled by a few moneyed individuals, even though those moneyed individuals, Peter Armstrong and Chip Wilson now, don't have the ability to write big checks like has been done before. Rob McDonald was one who wrote a big check for $900,000 for a couple of elections ago. That can't happen anymore because union donations and corporate donations, big donations, more than $1,200 per person are not allowed anymore. But there are donations that are allowed to be big in non-election years to help parties stay in operation. So the NPA has been this target, even though the NPA has had no power, but it has made impressive showings in previous elections. It has elected people to various levels. There has been a little bit of infighting along the way, but you've got several people within the sphere of other parties who were former NPA members and didn't leave on such good terms. Wai Young is one of them. She tried to run for mayor. She had fundraisers in fall of last year to start off her bid to become the NPA mayoral candidate. She's the former South Vancouver Conservative MP. She lost in 2015. And so she was putting together a bid, and for some technical reason, she was not given the green light to go ahead with her bid to become mayor. So she's got her own party called Coalition Vancouver, which isn't really much of a coalition. It's more of just a party of various people who are on the conservative end of the political spectrum. You also have Hector Bremner and his Yes Vancouver party, which is more of a group of federal liberals. Mark Marison, Christy Clark's ex-husband, who still is very much, or was very much, a political ally of hers in the BC Liberal Party, is really running the Yes Vancouver machine, where Hector Bremner is the name of the face. Hector Bremner is just like Gregor Robertson. For some reason, he doesn't want to return my phone calls. Is it? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's tough questions that he doesn't want to answer about his background, about who he is and what he does, and why people are onto him so much because he's a lobbyist. So Hector Bremner has his Yes Vancouver party, and again, they are attacking the NPA, but they're attacking the NPA in a different fashion. They're running or someone is running an ad campaign promoting Hector Bremner and his Yes Vancouver team and his Let's Fix Housing hashtag. The Yes Vancouver party officially says they don't know who's running this campaign, but I think everyone doesn't believe that messaging from the Yes Vancouver machine. But there's another that is on the right side of the political spectrum. Hector Bremner is trying to promote his unique qualification for being mayor because he's the only person in this race right now who has city council experience in Vancouver, even though his experience started October 31st last year when he was sworn in after a by-election where he took advantage of a left-wing split, and he took advantage of low voter turnout. I think his only chance to win this election is by taking advantage of a right-wing split and taking advantage of low voter turnout and positioning his Yes Vancouver party as more centrist to try to run up the middle. I don't know how well that's going to work, especially if there's debates that happen and you get someone like Fred Harding, the Vancouver First mayoral candidate, who is part of a group, Vancouver First, which is started by a number of people who were, again, disaffected NPA members. They're on the right side of the political spectrum. Fred Harding is a unique one because he is a former senior police officer with West Vancouver Police. He was basically the face and the voice of the West Vancouver Police for a number of years. He's got very, very savvy media skills. He could be someone that can be very interesting in a debate, especially someone who can bring forward platform planks about law and order. Vancouver, a lot of Vancouverites are screaming out for some law and order in the city, whether it's to deal with money laundering in casinos, money laundering in real estate, whether it's to deal with downtown east side, property crime, break-ins, home invasions, what have you. Crime issues, battling crime seems to be something that has been neglected for the past 10 years in Division Vancouver, and we'll see if Fred Harding is able to exploit that. So there you have Fred Harding, Y. Young, Ken Sim, and Hector Bremner on the right side of the political spectrum. Another centrist that could make some noise is David Chen from Pro Vancouver. He's got several candidates who are making a lot of noise on social media about the real estate industry, about what they say is corruption in the real estate industry and money laundering, how there should be more regulation, how just building more houses, which is basically Hector Bremner's solution, isn't quite the solution. They want more law and order. They want what they call the unreasonable profiteering to really end. So that's another group, Pro Vancouver. Of course, you do have others that were hoping to run a mayoral candidate, like Cope and Patrick Condon. Unfortunately, he had a stroke back in July, so he had to back out of the race. But Cope is running people for city council, and who are people that are, again, part of that Labour-endorsed slate. We'll see what happens with Division Vancouver. There still is time. Friday afternoon is the deadline to file candidacy papers at the Civic Elections Office, part of the City Clerk's office. That, we'll see what happens. There has been some talk in the last 24 hours of Councillor Andrea Reimer throwing her hat in, and she apparently is thinking about it now, even though she told Mike Howell, the Vancouver Courier, in 2017 that in a nutshell she's not capable. Suddenly she thinks she might be capable to fill in the spot that Ian Campbell was going to on the mayoral ticket. We'll see if that happens. Andrea Reimer this fall was supposed to, once her term was over, head off to the East Coast and take advantage of a scholarship and study for a year or so at Harvard or MIT. She might put that on hold to make a run for the Vancouver mayoralty. That could be interesting. But she would also have the problem of history of being part of the Vision Vancouver caucus, a caucus that has not delivered on many promises. They didn't deliver on a promise to give open and transparent government to Vancouverites. They didn't deliver on promises to make this a sustainable city for people to live in, to make their careers in, a place for sustainable housing. This is a party that has a reputation of rubber stamping luxury towers for party donors to build.
We'll have more about luxury towers when we return with Bob Mackin.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp Inc., MGI on the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected high-grade gold, including 16.9 meters of 13.58 grams and 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program is planned to further evaluate previously identified subsurface high-grade gold mineralization. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
MGX Minerals is revolutionizing the new energy economy with patented lithium extraction technology, replacing traditional solar evaporation using low-cost, low-energy nanofiltration. The first system of this paradigm shift technology is currently being commissioned. MGX Minerals trades on the CSE, symbol XMG, the OTCQB, symbol MGXMF, and Frankfurt, symbol 1MG. For more information, visit our website, mgxminerals.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Bob Mackin. Bob, did Vision Vancouver approve a luxury tower on land that was supposed to go to nonprofit housing?
Yes, in summer 2016, they put out for tender 601 Beach Crescent right near the Granville Street Bridge, close to where Vancouver House is being built right now by Westbank. They put this land, which had actually been earmarked for not-for-profit housing at a lower density. They put that out to the market, and it was valued at $8.1 million then. Pinnacle International Development paid $20 million. So on the face of it, that's great. They sold an $8 million asset for $20 million and brought that back to the Treasury. But hold on here. City Hall Watch did an FOI request to actually get the appraisal. An independent appraisal was made for City Hall by a company called CWPC, and based on two scenarios of higher density for the property, bigger, taller towers, that property would someday be worth between $90 million and $160 million. So it looks like they sold it at a discount. Now, City of Vancouver says that the way they structured the deal was that however much density the developer wants, they got to pay an extra $365 per square foot for that density. So they could end up paying well over $120 million more once all is said and done for the right to build on that property to get that rezoning. But, of course, this is luxury housing. They'll be selling the market suites for as much as they can. They do have to spend about $44 million or so to build about 152 non-market housing units, quote-unquote affordable housing units. But they do stand to make a substantial profit based on this valuation, maybe $77 million profit. But again, City Hall sold this for what appears to be a song, but there are so many variables along the way. It won't be until this is all said and done before City Hall has an accurate reading of whether this was a good deal or not for taxpayers. George Affleck, councillor with the NPA, who's not running, said he disagrees with selling civic land like this, which is earmarked for civic housing, nonprofit housing, should have been developed by the city or done on a lease basis. Glenn Chernin with the Coalition Vancouver Party has been a bit of a whistleblower in other projects where City Hall has appeared to have given or left money on the table. He also doubts the veracity of the city on this project. Again, this is something for the next city council to do, to maybe do an audit, look at all the projects where city land has gone into the hands of developers to see how much value has actually come back for taxpayers, especially in a city where there is a housing crisis.
We'll have more with Bob Mackin right after this.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario, with grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program to test numerous targets located by recent groundwork is planned for early 2018. please visit our website at rmroyalty.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Bob Mackin. Bob, the race for mayor of Richmond is not without controversy. Can you tell us about that?
Well, Malcolm Brodie, who has been mayor since winning a by-election in 2001, is running for another term in office, and his chances seem to be a little bit better than they were more than a week ago. On September 4th, and I was first to report this in the Breaker.News, September 4th, the Law Society of BC issued a citation against Hong Guo. Now, she is a lawyer in Richmond, has a law firm near Number 3 Road and Westminster Highway. She specializes in immigration law, specializes in real estate law. She has been cited for professional misconduct, a very complicated citation from the Law Society of BC. A hearing is pending, but a hearing could take about a year to schedule and to happen. Meanwhile, she has declared many months ago that she wanted to run for mayor to beat Malcolm Brodie. She has been in the news because her law firm, she says, was the victim of a $7.5 million theft by a couple of ex-employees who she said took $7.5 million out of trust accounts, went to casinos in Metro Vancouver, laundered the money, and then left for China and took the money with them. She says the RCMP hasn't helped her on this, and that she had to go and track them down in China herself and turn them into the police. I'm waiting to get some more proof on that. She did say that, and the Law Society does say that she did pay back that $7.5 million. She says she sold some property in Surrey to bring some money to the table, and there's also some money from an insurer to help her pay back that money. But that money, that figure, $7.5 million, figures quite prominently in this citation from the Law Society, which basically says she didn't do enough to guard the trust funds of clients, and it also points the finger at her for misappropriation of funds, for various just incompetence. That's what it is in a nutshell. You can read the whole story in the Breaker.News. Now she denies it. She says she wants to see all the allegations against her. She is not happy it comes at this time when she's preparing a run for the mayoralty, but she has not, as of earlier this morning, registered to run for the mayoralty. She has until the end of the day Friday, but this certainly puts a cloud over her, a cloud that she can't remove before October 20th if she decides to run for office. Very strange and unusual situation that definitely will be one that will be talked about. Whether or not she runs, it will be interesting to see what kind of defense she puts up in the Law Society citation hearings. Again, the Law Society citation itself is very clear. These allegations are unproven and will need to go before a disciplinary panel. But if that disciplinary panel accepts the investigation as it's been done by the Law Society, there could be some serious repercussions here, as deep as disbarment from the Law Society itself.
Bob, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you.
My guest has been Bob Mackin, award-winning investigative reporter and publisher of the Breaker.News. If you have any questions for Bob or any other guests, send them to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.